Jim Darling, our former McAllen mayor, is kind enough to offer to serve today as today's moderator. So now I will hand it off to Jim. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome everybody, and all I can say is I'm glad I'm not running for anything. We're trying to get this straight. It's a little bit different than most, since we'll have the Democrats, I guess, debating the Democrats, Republicans, or Republicans. It's a little different than one-on-one in the final election, but hopefully we'll get through this, the questions. In order to not favor anybody, we'll start off with a question from one person on one side, and the next question we'll start off with the other side and work our way through that, so please bear with us. I might point out Eric Holguín had a family medical situation, and he will not be with us today, and I hope we remember his family in our prayers. So we have, hopefully have 5 questions. We're scheduled for 4, but if we hurry up, we'll get through the 5th question, and we'll do that. We have a timekeeper out there. Where's our timekeeper? Okay, that's a very important person. We're going to talk about how long you have the time, and you'll give the 30 seconds, 5 seconds. And then what do you do if they go to 5 seconds? No, okay. Time's up. Time's up.
The hook comes out.
And so we'll have 5 questions. We'll do hopefully have all 5 questions be time to answer that. And we'll start off first with an opening statement of 1.5 minutes, and a closing statements of 2 minutes. So we get to be able to address whatever you want into those periods. We'll ask all 5 candidates the same question. We'll rotate through those with starting off with a new person answering first to those. Okay, we hope that everybody's respectful. I think we all almost know each other in this room, so hopefully that's a good thing and not a bad thing. We want to thank you for participation in the election. You know, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of work from your family, etc. And so getting a big group of candidates, which we have, I think today, it's something that it's good for our democracy and good for our area and good for District 41. Any questions for anybody? Hearing none, I guess we could start and proceed. Here's a microphone. We have to pass that along.
Hello.
Okay, so first.
Vote for Gary.
Vote for. Okay, that's your opening statement. Pass the mic over. Okay. If there's no questions, we'll start with the proceeding. The opening statements, each candidate will be limited to 1.5 minutes. Opening statement, and we'll start since you're on the.
Should we stand up?
I think we should stand up for the opening statement.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Groves, proud MAGA Republican running for HD 41. I'm the only candidate who's had a affiliation with our local Republican Party who's in this race for HD 41, the Republican side. I'm also the only candidate on the Republican side who's voted in Republican primaries. The other candidates have not voted in them. As a matter of fact, coming to this election, one of them has not voted at all, and the other one has only voted in Democrat primaries. So if you want a strong grassroots Republican to be sent to Austin, I'm the only clear choice for that in this race. I have a degree in economics. I'm retired from the oil and gas business, so I understand business. If you want to send a business leader to Austin, I'm the guy. I'm for eliminating property taxes. I'm also for capping the appraisal at 1.5% or inflation, whichever is less. I'm also for electing the appraisers so that they're accountable to us. I'm for eliminating the franchise tax. I'm a Christian who's pro-life. I'm pro-Second Amendment. I'm for Dojing Texas. I think that's so very important. And I support Don Huffines in his efforts. I'm for term limits. We don't need career politicians. We need people who are governing for the people, by the people. We need that. We need it. I'm for looking at insurance, healthcare, auto insurance, and home insurance. It should be studied. The rates are too high, and I think I know why. And so that needs to be addressed. We need to make life more affordable and better for our younger people and for all of us, actually. I see that with retired people. And so I'm humbly asking for your vote today. For more information, go to GaryForTexas.com. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we have Segredo-Hammond.
Hi, I'm a business leader. I own Atlas Electrical Air Conditioning, Refrigeration, and Plumbing Services, and we are very concentrated on skilled trade work, and we are concentrated on workforce. My platform brings skilled trades to the forefront and the workforce, because we have to have skilled workers in order to grow our economy. I am also running as a Republican because I believe in faith first. I lead with God. God is love. That is the definition of God, and my platform is based on that type of love. When I speak with love, and when I listen with empathy and that same amount of love. I am working to bring back better taxation to our system. We do need to look at our property values. I have been fighting at the Capitol for over 9 years, trying to reduce property valuation, insurance costs, bring medical attention to our Rio Grande Valley, and I have been fighting for our veterans. I've been going to Austin to advocate for Republican bills that make our system better. I am asking for you to look into me, to look into my website. You will see that in my website I have a contract of what I will do and how I will vote. And in that contract I state what my running things are gonna be the first 100 days when I get into office. I am for the community. I serve on 14 boards because I believe that the community comes first. I've set up my operations in such a way that it is structured that I can devote myself to my community, and I will continue to devote myself to my community. Thank you.
Okay, and Sergio Sanchez?
Thank you, Mr. Darling. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sergio Sanchez. I'm a Republican. I'm running for House District 41. It's a pleasure to see a lot of you. It's a pleasure to meet new faces. I just want to give a little background on myself. I used to be a prosecutor. I worked for Hidalgo County for the best 7 years of my career. I put real bad people in prison for life. I bring that level of intensity to this race, and I want to talk to not just the things that I would vote for, but the proposed bills that I've already drafted. Regarding the men and women of the Border Patrol, regarding the men and women of the Sheriff's Department. I've received their endorsements. I'm the only one on this stage to have received the endorsement of law enforcement. I think the area is calling for a serious candidate. I bring that level of intensity to these proposals. And regarding property taxes, it's connected to city spending. And so this is the first chance that I get to be on stage with Mr. Haddad. I want to speak to this because he advertised, it was in the mail just yesterday. Advertises, or it's a big part of his platform, that the taxes of the city have gone down. But it's really crafty language, the way he speaks, and it's the tax rate that has decreased. But because of the appraised values, we're actually paying more. And so I would hope today he would look all of you in the eye to say, you know what, it is true. Your taxes have gone up, although the rate has gone down. So it's kind of slick. And I would just respectfully demand that he be truthful on it. I'm the only one in the race that's gonna speak to this going forward. I'm the only one in the race. I fully expect that he's gonna win, I think, a lopsided primary victory. And the purpose is, who's gonna be the best candidate going forward for November? You need somebody with strength to speak to these issues. I fully prepare to prosecute this matter going forward in this campaign. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go on the other side for the Democrats and Seby Haddad.
Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody for being here, especially the members of Citizens League. I've been joining Citizens League at minimum for the last 6 years, and I'm proud to be a part of this community and see the engagement that you guys do, and continue to have forums on different topics. But I am Seby Haddad. I am running on the Democratic primary, and I am the only candidate up here that is on both sides of the paycheck. I am a small business owner. I've been investing in our city for well over a decade. I've employed easily over 300 or 400 people in various different industries or sectors. I'm also the Chief Lending Officer at Lone Star National Bank, a 20-year career that's been built working directly with the community. We service the community, we sit on nonprofit boards, we stay active in our civic duties, and I deal with almost any and every industry that you could imagine, from the small retail mom and pop to the restaurateurs to the large-scale industry that we see coming into our city. For the last 6 years, many of you are aware that I have been elected at the city of McAllen, and we have had some of our most aggressive budgets with still retaining close to 90 days of a rainy day fund, a tremendous amount of capital on hand. We're still able to invest in the community with drainage, infrastructure, mobility, doing the things that matter to our residents, working on ensuring that we provide high quality services and ensuring that we remain in touch and in contact with the community as a commission. And McAllen has never been healthier than it is today. I didn't expect to use my opening statement to address, honestly, the other side. But yes, we are very proud to say we have reduced the property tax rate for 4 years in a row. That is a fact. And by reducing the property tax rate, it does save you taxes. There are two sides to it, the valuation side and the tax rate side. We are doing our best to save you what we can on the rate side. If he's unaware of how it works, the Hidalgo County Appraisal District is a state entity. That is why I want to get up to the state level and work on the appraisal reform process, work on the valuation side. I could only do so much on the city of McAllen. We don't control the valuation side, but it is true, we have reduced your property tax rate. It does save you taxes, and I know the citizens of McAllen appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, and our next speaker is Julio Salinas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the Citizens League for being here and listening to the great debate that we're going to be having here. My name is Julio Salinas. I'm a candidate for the State House here in House District 41. I've been working in the state capitol for the past 5 years, and as a 26-year-old, while being the youngest, I have the most amount of experience in the State House, working there, working to pass bills through the legislature, and making sure that we have that. My parents came down here. My dad was a migrant farmer who ping-ponged around between California and New York before settling down here in the Rio Grande Valley, and for two simple reasons: a low cost of living and a strong sense of community. A lot of those opportunities that my dad was allowed, that built, that was managed to get a job in local journalism, buy a home, get a better life for my family and I, a lot of those opportunities are gone. They are evaporated. And I'm fighting for that RGV that works for all of us, that talks about affordability, labor, liberty. I have built up a major coalition, the strongest coalition all across the state, of state representatives who have endorsed me in this race. I also serve as the Hispanic Caucus co-chair of the Texas Democratic Party, serving as one of the youngest party leaders in the entire state. I've been working in the state legislature to pass bills like a Small Business Saturday bill, under my member Christina Morales, who was able to pass a bill that recognizes the first Saturday of every month as Small Business Saturday. It's a hard task it's easier said than done to pass bills through the legislature. But it's an experience that I've had and I built a career upon to make sure that we have a better thing. And not only that, we've killed bills through the legislature, through very procedural means. And these are things that you need a lot of experience in. So all of this to say is that when we're coming down here and we're asking ourselves what new generation of leadership we need for the Rio Grande Valley, I do believe that House District 41 is going to decide what the valley looks like going forward. Are we going to stay in the same mold, right? Or are we going to increase our investments to a new future that puts the RGV on the map? And in building that coalition all across the state from several different peoples, I managed to do that, and I hope to have your vote in the coming days.
Thank you. Now we're going to the question period. We took our questions from the Citizen League suggestions, and also I think the county participated in asking some questions. And in order to do that, we limited it to 5 questions, and hopefully you have a minute and a half to answer them. And we'll start off the same way we did, and then we'll start rotating so everybody gets a chance to be first. Any questions? That wasn't a question. No, that was a question you asked,
But
Brad.
after that, it rotates.
Yeah, after that it rotates, okay? So, I think you might have answered partially this one, all of you. What differentiates you from your competitors? Okay?
Thank you, Jim. As I've said, I'm the only Republican in this race for HD 41 who has a strong history with our local Republican Party, also with the National Republican Party. And I put in the work to do that, and so records matter. You know, I voted in the primaries, the other two haven't. You know, as a Republican, we get so upset when good Republican legislation doesn't get passed. And why does it not get passed? Because some of the people up there aren't strong Republicans. This is a clear choice. I'm the only one in this race that has a strong Republican record for HD 41. I mean, it's not even close. So if you want a good Republican up there to support Republican legislation, it's me. That's just what the evidence is. That's what my record is, and the other two can't say it. And you know, one of the things we have are special interests trying to trick people, trying to fool them. One of the people got $100,000 in this election from a PAC that doesn't support Republicans. Always, they support Democrats. So with that, that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay, sir, you want me to repeat the question?
I got it. Like I mentioned, our company, we've had this company for 43 years, and we focus on skilled trades. I serve on a national board for Skilled Trades Advisory Council, advocating for skilled trades all across the United States, and I serve on a Women in HVAC, which is also another national board for skilled trades. My advocacy is to help create stronger workforce and stronger skilled trades. I also serve locally at STC and South Texas VOTEC on the skilled trade department as an advisory chair. I am here because I serve. I serve my community. I am here of service. This is not a position of royalty. This is a position of service. We're here to listen to your voice, not dictate and not bring our own opinions to the table, but to bring what is best for our community. I have served as the Hispanic chair. I serve currently as the chair for the Better Business Bureau. I have served on boards for leadership women. I serve on boards because I believe that we have to give our time and what we know in knowledge. I have knowledge. I have employed over 35 people, 35 to 45 to 28 people, every for my community. I am here because, as a Republican, because I believe in faith first. I believe in family first, and I believe in your freedoms, my community's freedoms, District 41's freedoms. I believe in us. Thank you.
Yeah, so I can distinguish myself from this, I would say, crowded field. I don't think Mr. Holguín is present. So it's 6 strong candidates up here. One will go forward. We're at the phase where I need to explain what is the purpose of a primary. The best candidate on this side to go forward to have the best chance to win in November. And that's me. And I want to say I distinguish myself. I've been a dog of the criminal courtroom for 27 years, prosecutor. I've sent cartel guys to prison. I shake their hands before I do it. I've sent people to death row. That's what I do. I made a career doing things like this. Federal, state, local, all over the state, all over the country. This has been my practice. I want to say I'm the most pro-life person on this stage. I have a bill proposed to create a 5-doctor panel to approve with a degree of medical certainty that when the mother's life is at risk, and there is a diagnosis of that, to green light an abortion in Texas, it must be approved unanimously by a 5-doctor panel on an emergency basis. I've spoken to doctors in the community. I understand the very limited circumstance where a mother's life truly is at risk. These areas of hypertension and you're really in the weeds. Get it approved, get it approved. I'm very familiar with the appellate process of a death row individual. Many, many levels of scrutiny, many, many levels of review. I want to take that intensity to the life of the most innocent among us, the unborn child. I will take that level of intensity to the State House. In addition, just to respond in these last few seconds I have, I do understand how the appraised values work and the valuation of taxes. The two go hand in hand. If you do not know the connection, you shouldn't be placing these things on our city budgets. Thank you.
Okay, and the question is, what differentiates you from your competitors? Seby?
As I stated in the opening statement, I'm the only one that really has the private experience combined with the public experience. And that has ingrained me in the community to be able to bridge the gap between the constituents and the residents, the needs of the community, with what government can actually do for them and how we can accomplish tasks, not only in the short term, looking 90 days ahead, but thinking 5, 10, 15, 25 years ahead. During my tenure at the City of McAllen, I have sat on the McAllen Economic Development Corporation for 5 years. I currently still sit as Vice President of the Economic Development Corp. They're two separate ones. I'm on the Foreign Trade Zone as well, still, where we're still attracting industry. I think there's a big announcement to come pretty soon between MEDC and the City of McAllen. I am also President of Region 12 for TML, which has allowed me to create coalitions and partnerships with every elected official throughout the various cities of the Valley. And that's so that we can work together to better represent up in Austin. I am also the director at TML state level, which puts me in touch with the state officials. And when I first got on at the city, we used to monitor maybe 100, 150 bills up at the Capitol. We're now monitoring 300 to 500 bills from the city attorney's office. We're incredibly active up at the Capitol. I've worked with the legislators. I am the only one here that is fully supported and endorsed by every single Democratic leader in South Texas. Every single state legislator, regional leader, city leader, and down to ISD trustees. Thank you.
Okay, Julio?
Well, when it comes down to what this primary is going to be about, I agree that this primary is about the strongest candidate to take on my friends on the other side here. And as it stands, as a person who has worked in the state legislature, not only in the legislative work, but also in organizing and building up movements and coalitions, along with the Democratic Party, rebuilding a lot of what we lost down here in the Rio Grande Valley. This is something that I've been really working forward to. One of the things that we worked with as part of, I serve as the Hispanic Caucus co-chair, serving on the State Democratic Executive Committee of the Texas Democratic Party. We've managed to build a lot of things, including along with Visit McAllen and a lot of the great folks there, to get the 2030 State Democratic Convention down here to the Rio Grande Valley, putting people to pay attention to the Rio Grande Valley. And I was one of the people who voted for that. In 2030, we'll be having the state convention here. One of the things that I want to mention here is that along with that legislative experience, along with that organizing experience, I am also the only candidate on this stage that has voted for Democrats exclusively. My opponent on the opposite side of me has voted mostly Republican for the past 15 years, from 2010 to 2022. As it stands, we need somebody who won't give ammunition to the other side to basically say that we don't know where they stand for. And you know where I stand on issues, and I will explain more about where I stand on issues going forward during this election.
Okay, our next question is, if elected as a freshman legislature, how will you be able to best represent your constituents' priorities? We've had Bobby's in there, 20 years now, and so we have a freshman in there. And we're going to go back, so everybody has equal time to be first. We're going to go this way instead of that way. So the question is, if elected as a freshman legislator, how will you be able to best represent your constituents' priorities?
Well, during the tenure, being in the City of McAllen and being elected in the City of McAllen has directly connected me with the constituents and citizens of primarily District 41. If you really look at the boundaries of District 41, it's the urban epicenter of Hidalgo County. It's where most of the economic activity is. It's a majority of the housetops and neighborhoods, and a massive amount of the infrastructure, mobility infrastructure, most of the businesses. and probably provides about 70% of the overall economic activity for all of Hidalgo County. And that is the exact community that not only do I work with as a community banker, but also as a small business owner, and even more so as an elected official. And the state legislators, by endorsing me and entrusting in me, as well as the sheriff, the DA, various other regional leaders, along with various ISDs and city councils throughout the Rio Grande Valley, I have formed the partnerships and coalitions and relationships with these individuals to hit the ground running when we get to Austin. I've got relationships already built up in Austin with various groups, whether industry groups or different chiefs of staff or different offices. And so I'm gonna be the most and best suited to get up there and already be a trusted individual with credibility to be able to make decisions that represent the Valley. And I'm the only one that's been down here working for the Valley on the ground for the last 20 years. I know my two opponents on this side basically came down because they saw the opportunity of an open seat. And so they are not connected to the community or their constituents, and they've got a lot of ground to make up.
Julio, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, that's the first time I've heard you lobby that accusation at me. I've lived in the Rio Grande Valley for the past, I went from birth to 2019. I went to school for a couple of years. I worked in the state capitol. I came down here to work on several campaigns, including Michelle Vallejo's congressional campaign. I work in the state legislature. It's a part-time legislature, so when I don't do that, I come back over here. All this to say, what is really important is that coalition building. I have been up in the state legislature, and I've built up the coalition of the most amount of state legislatures who have endorsed me in this race because they have seen what I've been able to do all across the area. And this is my concern with the Rio Grande Valley. The concern with the Rio Grande Valley is that we are much too localized and secluded from the rest of the state. I want to bring the Rio Grande Valley everywhere else, and I've built up those coalitions, and the people there entrust me with that. I am endorsed by the third highest ranking Democrat in the entire state legislature. I have built up those coalitions. I can make a big difference everywhere else. As such, I've worked in committees such as the Transportation Committee, where I've helped bring, I'm the only candidate, and where I've helped bring millions of dollars all across the entire state, including grade cost separation. I'm the only candidate here who has been in budget negotiations in the state capitol during that time, and I will continue doing that work in the state legislature as your representative.
Okay, thank you. And Sarah, if elected as a fresh woman legislator, how will you be able to best represent your constituents' priorities?
Well, I've been block walking, which has been really fun for me. I did that for 20 years growing up, talking the Bible to people. And now I'm talking about the people. And I've been finding out what their needs are. And they're very concerned about the school districts. I support the vouchers, but they're very concerned about the school districts. And my husband goes to public school. He works for public school, and my daughters go to public school. So the school districts are extremely important to me, and it's important to our community. And what's also important is telemed in the regions of the poorest areas and the skilled trade work. And so we need to start talking about immigration reform. Nothing's been done since 1980. We need people, the construction workers are very frustrated right now, and that is what our community is needing. Those are the first 3 issues that I will be tackling along with property valuations, because we have a lot of senior citizens that are being taken out of their homes because they cannot afford to pay their property taxes. So those are my community issues for District 41, and those will be my issues moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, Sergio?
Thank you, Mayor. So we keep hearing so much about how every Democrat in the 956 or in this whole region of South Texas has endorsed Seby Haddad. And Seby, that's the announcement that nobody has been waiting to hear. Nobody is waiting to hear that. I don't know how that benefits McAllen, Edinburgh, Mission, and FAR. I might remind you, they're the party of the minority, and there's no other way to say this. I'm gonna be a party of one. I have an open avenue with Governor Abbott. I speak to him about my ideas. I can tell you he's a receptive audience to what I've proposed regarding the men and women of the Federal Border Patrol, ICE, to include them in interfering with public duties, to enumerate them as a protected class within that statute, to expand the engaging in organized criminal activity, another way of saying conspiracy, to protect that because of this kind of professional agitation that we see in Minnesota. Being very clear, that level of agitation and of cohesiveness is not welcome in Texas. These are the mindset of a prosecutor. I'm bringing that to the State House. I would also like to say this issue of property taxes. I'm the one up here that fully endorses the governor's plan to lower property taxes. It's 100% connected to handcuffing city officials. They're very, very good at spending your tax dollars. They're very good at telling you that we're lowering the rate. We're in the level of a used car dealer to come in and say, I'm lowering the rate. Actually, your monthly payment's going up. Thank you.
Okay, Gary?
Feel like a relay team. Well, I'm Gary, and you have to listen to your constituents. This is about service. This is me governing for you. Seby, on North 16th Street in Maple, people are running through there too fast. They've asked you to put up a stop sign. Can I ask you today to get a stop sign put up there for those people? They're begging for it. They're reaching out to the city. It's a very dangerous situation. If you could help them, that would be wonderful. I would like to put together coalitions of people from business, from the healthcare industry, to advise me. I also have served on committees. I understand how to govern by consensus, building a consensus and making things work that way. And I'd like to say, sending another lawyer to Austin who votes in the Democrat primaries is not change. It's just more of the same. We need a strong Republican who's paid their dues, worked hard to help other Republicans get elected, who will have respect up in Austin because he is a true Republican and they already know me up there. That will be real change. And competition is a good thing. Having a strong Republican come from here, we need that. We don't have that competition now. I will bring that change. You've seen my record. I'm the only one here on this Republican side who has that record. Records matter.
Okay, well, that's question number 2.
Keep it going.
We're gonna keep it going, and if we get to 4 or 5, we might have to move out to the parking lot, but we're okay. Okay, question 3. What do you believe is the most critical issue your constituents face, and how will you address that in the Texas House? And Sarah, we'll start with you.
Our kids are not being able to read and write coming out of school, and that's a problem. We're losing common sense. We have a problem in our education system, and we have a problem in the skilled trade work. We need skilled trade to go back to junior high. We took it out, and we need it back in there. We have our master plumber, average master plumber is 58 years old, certified master. The average master electrician is about 52. The average master HVAC technician is about 42. That's a problem. We need our workforce, we need skilled workforce, and that is my highest issue going into Austin. Thank you.
Sergio, you're next.
I think referendums at the city level are imperative to control out of just these overrun costs and school boards, not just McAllen, not just Edinburgh, Mission. This is the whole state. So project this out. And every city leader needs the possibility of a referendum, an audit, that we, the people, have an audit. Thumbs up or thumbs down. I'll use this airport expansion as an example. $200 million. Seby, that should have gone to the people to vote for. I do believe we need expansion of the airport, but let's scrutinize it, put this to the people. And by the way, where does this number come from? I understand the number was lower and then it was higher. I understand it was a one bid contract. At least let the people decide something this massive. For sure, other parts of the state, they contemplate building the $100 million high school football stadium. Put it to a vote. Thumbs up or thumbs down, let the people decide. And obviously, we're not going to micromanage the city that you need to fill in a pothole over here on Violet, which you do, That needs to get done. We understand it's not into the minutia of the tiny, but obviously this large area, something like this, and I would ask, why don't you rescind that contract and have the people decide? I think the citizens of McAllen deserve that vote. A one big contract that's already exploded in overrun cost, overrun delay, the people should decide this. Thank you.
Okay, Gary, do I need to repeat the question?
No, please, go ahead.
Okay, what do you believe is the most critical issue your constituents face, and how will you address it in the Texas House?
So, I've been out there talking to the voters. The most critical issue is the property taxes. They want them lowered. The governor's plan is a good start. We can do better than that. But I will support it because it will take the school tax off of the property, the homeowners. So that is a great start. That's what people want. They want that. I'm also for eliminating the franchise tax. It doesn't bring that much income into the state, but it causes a lot of problems for businesses. So let's just eliminate that. That will be very helpful. But yeah, so in continuing that trend, getting government off our back, it's about being for the individuals, not for government stepping on us. So yeah, let's really work on eliminating property taxes off of people's homes. It can be done against, this thing about buying down the homestead. It doesn't work because they keep erasing our appraisals. We've all said that today. They keep erasing our appraisals. You lower the tax rate, it doesn't matter because the appraisal goes up. And that's why I said earlier, let's elect the appraisers. That way, if they're doing a bad job, we can get rid of them.
Okay, thank you. Julio, do I need to repeat the question, or you got it?
I think I got it. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, as it stands, the biggest issue that we're facing here in the Rio Grande Valley is that of affordability. In this race, I've been talking about an RGV that works for all being an acronym for affordability, local prosperity, and liberty. It's these things that we've been talking about all over the place, including healthcare. On healthcare, I will be fighting for, and I have been fighting for in the past, capping prescription drug prices, especially for drugs like insulin and EpiPens, these drugs that have already turned a massive profit in the past. I will be fighting for investments into transportation funding, working in the transportation committee. I have been working in the transportation committee to get the high-speed rail program down here, which would cause an economic boom in the Rio Grande Valley. And as it stands, we're making a big difference everywhere that we can in terms of affordability with property taxes. I have a plan for a child care tax credit for non-primary caretakers who take care of children for more than 90 days out of the year. All this to say is that as we go forward in this primary, we can see that we have a lot of baggage on the other side in this race. A lot of baggage when it comes to undermining our own arguments when it comes to healthcare. Well, I just turned 26, so I lost my health insurance because of the Affordable Care Act. I only have that because the Affordable Care Act was put into place. And being over here and saying that we're going to defend Medicaid expansion and all these things while voting for a party that has voted against that, it gives ammunition to the other side to say you don't really stand for this. So we need to elect that true Democrat that can bring that forward.
Well, the most critical issue is definitely the stop sign on 16th and Maple. We gotta make sure we get that in place.
Yeah.
But just a little bit of a joke. No, look, from a regional standpoint, water and power issues are incredibly critical. We know we're basically at the bottom of the transmission line. We're basically at the bottom, last recipient of water. We need to find new sources of water. We need to find ways to focus on water retention. And we need to focus on water preservation because we get a lot of loss and seepage. And so those are major issues that we're going to be addressing. And at the city of McAllen, as you've seen with the new MPU desal groundwater plant, we're already focusing on those types of issues. To pivot a little bit to the airport expansion, $185 million terminal expansion, there's going to be some great news coming out of the airport later this year. But that is to continue growing our region. And for those of you who might not understand where it comes from, Airport funding is actually funded by the FAA, and so we set 25-year, 50-year plans, and we've been submitting plans to the FAA for years to get this terminal expansion. Once approved, and we're able to get it completed, the FAA basically provides full reimbursement. So thank the 360 million Americans for paying for that for you, to benefit our region. On the citizen side, public education is super critical. They are not only the past, present, and future of our region. We have to ensure that we focus on supporting public education. It's very critical. Affordable health care, of course. Time's up. So.
Okay, next question would be, Julio will be first. You probably wonder what the question is. This came from the county judge's office. Hidalgo County's primary source of revenue is ad valorem taxes, based on and dependent on property valuations. If elected, would you support a county sales tax in the unincorporated areas of Hidalgo County to diversify the county revenue streams?
No, I think that sales taxes are an incredibly regressive form of taxation. I think it creates especially it targets the poor and working class people. It also raises the rates at which certain things like building materials like lumber, cinder blocks, anything like that, it compounds upon the pricing of building. And in a place that's growing as much as it is, as it stands, I don't support increasing anything that has to do with building, the cost of building buildings or building houses anywhere over here, because that's what we're going to be facing as we face an economic boom and an economic growth and just people coming into this area. So I think that sales taxes are an incredibly regressive form of taxation. We need to make sure that if we are going to fix the taxation system, it needs to come from the state legislature, fighting for property tax exemptions for working class people all across the area. We also want to make sure that property tax relief comes in through these things, and diversify in other ways that are less regressive. Income tax, for example, would be a better way of going through these things. These are massive things that we're putting into place, and I'm concerned that a sales tax would specifically be targeting a lot of builders and working people who can barely afford their groceries as it is. So no.
Hidalgo County's primary source of revenue is ad valorem taxes based and dependent on property valuations. If elected, you support a county sales tax in the unincorporated areas?
No, I wouldn't. It is true, sales tax does typically, increase in sales tax or the effective sales tax usually hits the lower income and people who are struggling a lot more than other demographics or parts of the population. Property tax reform is heavily needed. I think it's for sure a bipartisan issue going up to the State House. But the devil's in the details, because we're obviously, by working on property tax reform, the idea is that everyone would pay less. We provide relief to homeowners. You own your home, you've already purchased it, but we've got to figure out where that revenue is going to be made up, or where it's going to be supplemented or come from. And so, Texas is known to have a very healthy budget. We all heard about the surplus from last year, combined with some of the large-scale programs that they have that I disagree with. And so if we're going to provide property tax reform, I think there are programs and funding that the state does that we can divert to ensure that, one, our public education system remains strong, because while the state might say they're going to fund it and they'll make up the shortfall, we've got to ensure that we put in the right guardrails and the right mechanisms in place to where they can't diminish that, they can't remove it, and that it also continues to grow and expand with the needs of our public school system, because that has typically been where the state has continued to draw down on what they're funding. If they had been funding public schools the way they did 20 years ago, we'd all be paying less in property tax. They have pitted the property tax owner against the public education system.
Okay, I need to repeat that question, I guess. Hidalgo County primary source of revenue is ad valorem tax, based on and dependent on property valuations. If elected, will you support a county sales tax in the unincorporated area to balance the revenue stream? Well, let me see, wait a minute. Gary, you're first.
Again, I'm Gary, proud MAGA Republic for HD 41. I don't think we should decide who pays the tax or not. And I think that what we're talking about here is a bigger issue. You know, it's about legal immigration. You know, and I'm for legal immigration. And, you know, the results of not having legal immigration is poverty. This county has tremendous poverty. And why is that? We don't have legal immigration. It affects us more than most places. That's the real issue. I support ICE. And I would ask everybody up here to support ICE. That's our law enforcement. They're doing a job. They're supporting the law. And so if you don't like that, change the laws. But don't go after our law enforcement. They need our support. Our leaders need to support them. They also need to tell people, do not resist arrest. Do not attack them. You endanger your lives. You endanger their lives. But yes, I think that this is a legal immigration problem. And I would say we need to look at the federal government for the failure of the immigration policies and claw back money from them.
Sarah?
First of all, we are having problems in our property valuations, and to put another tax on people does not make any sense. We need to look into the property valuation and get a hold of that first so that we can support the basics, our needs, our school districts. We also need to start looking at how we're going to be able to support our senior citizens who are living on a fixed income. If we increase sales tax, we're just going to burden our community further. So what we need to start doing is starting to relook at budgets. I worked for a bankruptcy attorney for over 17 years. Not many people know that. I did Chapter 13, Chapter 11 for municipalities, for cities, for businesses. I've done budgets my whole life, and I own 4 companies currently. I understand that when it gets hard, that you have to cut back. And maybe that's what we need to start looking at those budgets and cutting some stuff back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so I'm listening to Mr. Haddad's response, and he's been accused of being a Republican over and over. And that was the most Democrat response that I've heard, so he is a Democrat, because that's laying the foundation for a tax increase, and I hear that. And I want to speak to the exact opposite. And there's a different direction. No, you don't raise taxes for the unincorporated areas of this county or anywhere in the state. You don't do that. And there are other ways to raise revenue, and it's not lowering the per student cost that we need, and it is not raising taxes. There's another option: lowering taxes. Lowering taxes is an economic engine, and the business community will understand Texas has a surplus because we are an economic powerhouse. The governor has a plan I fully adopt. I actually want to take it even further. He wants to limit appraised values to 3% every 3 years. I want to limit them to 1.5% every 5 years to tie it into the rate of inflation. This is how you lower property taxes on a median home in the state, average of $5,000 a year in property taxes. To cut that number in half, which is to eliminate the school tax, just throwing out some round numbers, that's about $200 a month savings for the average household in Texas. That will affect these unincorporated areas. That will affect McAllen, Mission, Edinburgh, Far, the whole state. This is how you generate, and that economic engine will just keep going, and that surplus will continue into perpetuity. Thank you.
Keep the mic here first on the next question. Although I think the county really needs to get statutory authority to better regulate development in rural areas as opposed to that. That's not the question.
I agree, Mayor. I agree, and the colonias are a perfect example.
Okay, last question. What are the 3 top things you desire to accomplish if elected?
The first is this issue of life, and to create this 5-doctor panel at the level of an emergency appellate review of this diagnosis. There's only 2 state-sanctioned killings in the state of Texas. One is called execution, the other is called abortion. They both should receive the same level of scrutiny and review, especially for the most innocent. We're dealing with the most evil on one side and the most innocent on the other. I can tell you the governor is receptive to my plan. I don't hear any discussion of this anywhere in the state. I reject the notion that a freshman is not gonna get anything passed at the State House. That's one. Two is the protection to include the men and women of our federal agents to be a protected class. Three is I've adopted this term, taxpayer protectionism, in the level of consumer protectionism. This is really to control runaway spending at the city level, to rethink how it shouldn't be this top-down, cram down your throat version of government. The base, the foundation, the citizen should be in control for runaway government, school level, the water district level, and at the city level. And so with respect, Mr. Haddad is ground zero for this, and he is the poster child for the governor's 5-point plan. That needs to be limited. It goes hand in hand, and with respect, I don't think it's bipartisan. This is 100% a conservative principle, and I plan on taking it even further than the governor's plan. Thank you.
Okay, Sarah? Top 3 things you would wish to accomplish.
The first thing, again, as I mentioned, is public schools. The Blue Bonnet went into effect here in Texas. And as I believe in vouchers, I do believe that the state will regulate what kind of discipline will come down in our education, but our school boards, that's why they're there, to regulate the material that goes into the school districts. And then parents have the right to see transparency. So I will help advocate for that. Second thing is the skill trades. I'm passionate about the skill trades. That's why I serve on so many boards in skill trades. We need a better, stronger workforce. Skill trades is economic development. Without it, we cannot grow. Without it, we cannot bring more, better industry down. That will be the second thing that I will fight for. And the third is healthcare. Our people in our community are suffering. It's harder and harder to pay for insurance. Our poor regions need telehealth and telemed opportunities, and we need to help our community out. We are the poorest region in the state of Texas. That is not okay. We are not a headline in Austin. This is our home. We need to take care of each other.
Eric?
Again, I'm Gary. I think I've made it very clear. Eliminating property taxes of our homes, that's number one. Also, term limits. We don't need career politicians. Term limits are so important. It's about service, serving our community, serving you. That's what this should be about. So term limits are super important. It's not about self-interest. And I'm also for eliminating the franchise tax.
Okay. Seby.
Sure. I think one is definitely securing our resources. I mentioned water and energy before. Those are the two most critical things that we need to just keep our society functioning and ensure that we can have stabilized and continuous growth and be able to provide services to the valley and ensure that this remains a viable area for people to live, work, and play in. Public education, I think, is super critical. I think we're going to continue to have major battles and fights, especially when you're talking about Blue Bonnet, when you're talking about the voucher program and the expectation of that to grow. That's going to be a major thing that we're going to have to tackle. I mentioned before the importance of public education system here in our region and how we need to protect it and secure it. And for sure, affordable and accessible healthcare. We have some of the highest uninsured rates down here in the Rio Grande Valley. I have some of the strongest ties with the medical community, not only all the local hospitals and administrations, but people in government that work to drive resources down here up in Austin. And I know utilizing the partnerships and bridging that gap, we're going to be able to focus on the clinics and the services and the needs, especially for those that most need it. We also need to ensure that we focus on insurance and prescription prices when it comes to healthcare. And there's just such a multitude of things that we're going to be working on, from property tax reform to focusing on infrastructure, right, with TxDOT. That is super critical. We always have to be planning ahead. So, time's up, but yeah, it's going to be a busy session.
Okay, Julio?
Healthcare, education, infrastructure. I'm very specific on my website here, but the fact of the matter is we need a $15,000 raise. I will fight for a $15,000 raise for teachers and school administrators to make sure that we have a better system going forward. So $15,000 school workers. We need Medicaid expansion. We need to make sure that we have the Medicaid expansion from the Affordable Care Act in here in the Rio Grande Valley and all of Texas. Capping prescription drug prices like insulin and EpiPens. This is a bill that Representative Talarico managed to pass. Unfortunately, that's just the first step. Unfortunately, it is just the first step. It only affects 16% of the population. So we need to make sure that we have that going forward. And infrastructure. When it comes to infrastructure, there's no one who can tell as much successes in the state legislature as I have. Working with the Great Cross Separation Program that happened with $230 million. I also worked on several different aspects in terms of transportation safety, and I am fighting for a high-speed rail program that will connect the entire border corridor from Laredo to Brownsville, and connecting Mission to San Antonio and Monterey. That's something that we can do. That's something that the feds have already mentioned that they are willing to help us out with. Over 70% of the funding there. We just have to get to that 30%. That's something I will fight for in the state legislature. I will continue to do that. And as it stands, also go after the pay-to-play corruption of the Rio Grande Valley.
Okay, so we have some extra time, so we'll ask anybody from the peanut gallery if they have any questions. Raise your hand. Anybody? Come on. Yeah, no? Yes, sir, David.
A lot of cities and even the state of Texas are struggling with the data centers. They use a tremendous amount of water. And I'd like to get the views of each one of you as to how you would support or not support data centers in South Texas.
Down in Waterbury, electricity too. Data centers in Texas create problems because of electricity needs and power and water. And so how should the state of Texas address that?
Rio Grande Valley specifically.
Okay, Rio Grande Valley specifically. Okay?
Showing preference to
Realistic-
Democrats.
Realistically, at this point in time, heavily concerned and heavily opposed to data centers entering the Rio Grande Valley for several reasons. Not against private business, not against investment, but it's not the right type of investment for the Rio Grande Valley. Not everything is suitable or fitting for the region. Data centers basically are buildings with servers. Very few employees, very little bit of job creation, and the use of water and energy is so extensive that it's going to strain our systems. Not only is it going to make your energy and your water bills higher, it's going to put this region in threat of drought, no water, or even power blackouts. Right now, we have transmission, we're still working with AP to get more transmission down here, and they're putting in a temporary skid up on kind of North McAllen to fulfill the power needs. And this is without a data center. And if you look at the way data centers are being invested, the companies that need the data centers the most, whether it's Google or Meta or Tesla, one of them, they don't want to own it, they don't want to manage it, and they don't want to operate it. That should tell you something. They're letting private equity plant them all over the nation, and that's very concerning when the companies who need that resource don't actually want to own it or manage it. And so I'm wholly opposed to data centers. We've already seen some scenarios throughout Texas where they're fighting against it and they're already expecting major negative impact to the community.
Okay, which one do you want to talk about that?
Thank you. I think it's premature to say absolutely no to data centers. This creates a national security issue. So this has got to be a marriage, a partnership between local, state, and federal, and then specifically where we are in the world. We're on an international border. So obviously we have the capability on any building, this building itself, or the hospital, or any new construction. There's a permitting process, and obviously you have to connect to availability. So this connects back to water usage, desalination of brackish water that we have plenty of. I had a property 3 acres in North McAllen. You go down 100 feet, you're into some salinated water, but it can be treated way less expensive than obviously the water from the Gulf of Mexico. So it's going to connect everything under the sun, conservation, this seepage that we speak of, lining canals with cement is something as simple as that. But to say no to data centers is premature. The issue must be studied further. I think we have the science and the capability to do this. And when we're a region screaming that we are the poorest in the nation, but we have an opportunity to expand the area, and we're begging for growth, and we're begging for certain jobs, because there's also the cottage industry. There are other industries connected, not just the data center. Again, I think it's way too premature to say no to it, but obviously it must come with federal, state, and local assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, this needs to be researched. This is not something that we as a community should just say no to or say yes to. We have a water shortage. A water shortage. They need to be sure that if we're bringing in a data center, they are taking care of their own water. They're not using our water for living, that they're using recycled, reusable water, but not ours. And we need to make sure that they're not affecting our power grid. We had a freeze and several of our community was out without power for 7 to 10 days. We cannot have a data center come in until we do better research and we take care of our community first. We have drainage issues. We have bigger issues that our community needs supported and tax dollars that we need the state to come down and help us rather than concentrating right now and focusing on data centers. Thank you.
Well, this is where my knowledge of energy comes into play here. Yeah, the data centers can get their own water, and they should get their own water. Also, you know, our energy policy can be improved in the state. I like where we're headed with safe nuclear. It could definitely power these plants. Also, I think with our energy policy, the windmills, the solar, they should compete on their own. You know, we're subsidizing that, and we shouldn't be. You know, safe nuclear and natural gas, Texas is abundant with resources. So let's get the government subsidies out of that. It'll be more affordable for us. I'm all for the safe nuclear. Again, these data centers should use their own water, and they mostly do. And that's what we should mandate. You use your own water, don't come to us for it. And again, let's have smart energy policies here. Let's encourage safe nuclear. And let's get rid of the subsidized energy. We're all paying for that. We don't need it. An intelligent policy based on good energy policy and the data centers getting their water, but let's encourage it. They do create jobs. You know, they create a lot of jobs, and they have to be maintained, which also create jobs. So yeah, more jobs for Texas, I'm all for it.
Frankly, I think this is a silly exercise from my good friends on the opposite side of the aisle here. These AI data centers are not something that we need here in the Rio Grande Valley. As it stands, you know, we have a massive water crisis, we have a massive energy crisis. We are facing all of these different issues, and we're talking about this. If we really think that AI data centers is going to do anything to help the poverty rate here in the Rio Grande Valley, it's just an incredibly silly argument. So all of this to say, when we're talking about fixing our water and energy issues, we have to talk about lining the canals, we have to talk about seepage issues, we have to talk about irrigation reform. You know, these are major things that we can talk about when it comes to water safety and retention. We also need to talk about energy needs. Well, one of the bills that I will be supporting, and hopefully if Representative Guerra, hopefully my predecessor, allows, I will be fighting for the geothermal bill to bring geothermal energy. We are sitting at a massive hotbed here in the Rio Grande Valley for geothermal energy that we can possibly have right here that power not only our area, but also export it to other areas to bring in economic development and economic revenue our way. So I will be fighting for geothermal energy down here in the Rio Grande Valley. I will be fighting for other forms of alternative energy that will create an economic boom here in the RGV.
Okay, any other questions? We don't have any time. So we're gonna wrap it up.
and then everybody have 2 minutes as closing. And since we already around, we'll start the way we started, so you're gonna start first, Gary. 2 minutes for closing.
Okay, so again, I'm Gary Groves, running for HC41, proud MAGA Republican. I would like to thank the McAllen Citizens League for hosting this forum. I'd like to thank you, Jim, for being the moderator. I'd like to thank you, the audience, for your participation. Thank you very much. Again, I'm the only candidate on the Republican side who has a history with our local Republican Party, a long history. I'm also the only candidate who's voted in Republican primaries. One of the other candidates has voted only on Democrat primaries. The other ones never voted at all coming into this election. So, your record matters, and I have a strong Republican record. I also have a degree in economics. I've been involved in oil and gas, so I understood that last question, and I know what has to be done. I'm for eliminating property taxes, electing appraisers, capping appraisals at 1.5%. I am for that. Julio's not, Sergio's not the only one. I am a strong Christian who believes in pro-life. I'm pro-Second Amendment. I'm for eliminating franchise taxes. Again, I'm for doging Texas. You know, we've seen what happened in Minnesota. We need to get waste out of the system. I'm for term limits. Again, I'm for government for the people, by the people. So I'm humbly asking for your vote. Please go to garyfortexas.com to find out more about me. God bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you. Sarah?
I never thought I would see myself up here. I never wanted to be a politician. I wanted to be a servant, a leader. I wanted to serve on boards. I want to grow business. I love business. This is not a position that I ever thought I would step into. For the last 9 years, I've been fighting in Austin to get bills passed that will protect us, that will help us, that will give our community better living, better funding, and take care of our senior citizens. For 9 years, I've been doing that. That is why that PAC from Austin funded me. Because when I walked into the room, they said to me, "What are you doing here, Sarah?" And I said, "I have no idea. These people keep telling me that they want me to run, and I am not a politician." And they said to me, "Whatever she is selling, we're gonna buy." Because she's been coming up here for 9 years, fighting for her community to get things done for them. She has spent her time and her money and her energy bringing in organizations to help support the bills that need to get passed. We are gonna support her, Sarah. We are gonna support you, Sarah, because you have the voice of your community. I haven't served on so many boards to not understand that you have to listen first. We have to understand. I've served as chair on boards, and it's not my opinion that matters, it's what matters to that organization, what makes it stronger, and how we build unity. We need to be united. We need a voice in Austin that's gonna unite our community and take care of you first. Thank you.
Sergio?
Thank you, Mayor. So it was brought up about the Second Amendment, and I'm the only one on this stage that has received the endorsement of the NRA, their victory fund. And I received the highest rating that you could receive, an AQ rating for a non-incumbent candidate. I've received the highest rating in the nation, and it's something I'm proud of. And this goes hand in hand with that I'll fight for the Second Amendment. There are others on here, I believe, that just received the endorsement of Mr. David Hogg, an extreme gun control advocate. And I would put, respectfully, Ms. Hammond right there in that same position. The previous videos are out there for the world to see, and they'll speak for themselves. But I am proud of that rating, and that's something I think we deserve here in Texas. A fighter to protect our gun rights, to protect our right to bear arms. I think I'm the only one that can speak to constitutional issues with ease. I understand the Second Amendment is not so much self-defense or for hunting or for sport. It's to raise the citizen to combat tyranny of the government. Let's speak to constitutional basis. So I'm very proud of that rating. I do want to speak that regarding funding. I'm self-funding. I think I'm the only one up here that can say that. I'm funding myself because I believe in myself. And to come up and say, I never thought I would be here. No, I did think I would be here. I've earned the right to be here with 27 years as a dog in the criminal courtroom. And it's something that I'm very proud of. It's trained me for this moment. I believe in myself. I am beholden to nobody. And I don't think anybody else up here can say that. And there are others up here. What enters your mind when you think of there might be a bank that he is beholden to, or a hospital, or a lobbying group? Well, that's not me. That's not me. So you need a fighter, one that's going to get through this primary, two that's going to have the best chance to win in November, and three, just to go to Austin and fight. We have an empty chair. We have an empty chair right now in District 41 at the State House. That's the main reason that I jumped into this race. I called for Bobby Guerra to resign. He did the very next day, and I entered the race. Thank you.
Julio, you scared off Bobby, didn't you? Well, hey everybody, thank you, Mr. Mayor, thank you to the Citizens League, thank you everybody for listening to this great debate that we've been having. When we're talking about the new generation of leadership here in the Rio Grande Valley, we're talking about how we can best move forward. This area is it's booming. It's a place that I love, a place that I grew up in, and the place that I love, that I want to represent going forward. I'm fighting for an RGV that works for all. Affordability, labor, liberty, local prosperity, things that we need to bring forward. The $15,000 raise for teachers, Medicaid expansion, capping prescription drugs, and also taking on the RGV pay-to-play corruption. This is something that I think is incredibly important, not only on the Democratic side, but on the Republican side. As it stands, we need to make sure that we have a campaign finance reform. And that's something I'm going to be fighting for. I'm not funded by any PACs, any corporate PACs. I'm not funded by any of these things. I've been taking one step at a time to make sure that we have a community that works for all of us. And this is the first debate that we've had with the Republicans opposite of us. And as it stands, I've only heard non-answers and deflections. No answers on sales tax, no answers on these kinds of things, and no alternative plan for what they're going to do when they strip out the entire revenue of the entire state of Texas. All they want to do is cut taxes without actually knowing what it is that they're going to do to bankrupt the entire state. As it stands, that's going to be what they're doing. And no alternative plan is a very dangerous thing that we're facing here. And as it stands, having built the massive coalition that I have all across with state legislatures from across the state in Dallas, Houston, Austin, representatives from all over the place, we have managed to build a massive coalition. I hope that you'll stand with me, and I hope that we'll make a big difference down here in the Rio Grande Valley. And if you have any questions for me, please reach out.
Yes, so, I mentioned I was heavily endorsed by basically the entire Democratic leadership throughout of South Texas. And that is because it's a vote of confidence, but it's a matter of trust. They are telling the voters, they are telling the public, this is who we trust to be the most effective leader up in Austin, the one that's actually going to get things done. And that most of my campaign has been run on proven leadership, because it's not just campaign promises, it's not just, I'm going to work on this, I've got this idea, I've got this proposal. We've got actual results that have been delivered to primarily McAllen, the region, and South Texas as a whole. We've actually worked and gotten things done for the region, and that's the same continuity of service, government, and accountability that I'm gonna take up to the state level. Running for District 41 was a very tough decision. I love being at the city of McAllen. It's gonna be a completely different atmosphere. You do go up in the minority, but I know how to get things done. I know how to fight. I know how to form coalitions and partnerships. I know how to reach across the aisle. And I know I can be an incredibly credible and strong representative for Deep South Texas. I'm also endorsed not only by South Texas leadership, but Alton, McAllen, Edinburgh, Mission, Firefighters Association, as well as the State Firefighters Association. McAllen Police Association, as well as the State Police Association. Those are working families, public safety, who are very much ingrained in our community and care deeply and take care of us. They are endorsing me and they have stuck with me since 2019 because I have delivered for them and always listened to them. Dropping the elevator speech a little bit, when I look around this room, you know, I really see Omar Norma from the chamber, right? I see ISD trustees. I see Ernie. What has Ernie not done? David Oliveira, right? We have a former rep who has grown our region. We have Kate with the library. We have Sam, you know, my brother. We've got Sandra, Laurel, who keeps us accountable at the city level. I'm going up to work with you. You are going to tell me what you need. I'm going to maintain those relationships, those partnerships that we already have. To my mentor here, Jim Darling, he taught me probably 10 years worth of experience in the 2 or 3 years that I was fortunate to work alongside him. And that is what I take to Austin. The community comes with me. And so I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.